So we have our 2023 NBA Finals match set. The number 1 seed Denver Nuggets and the number 8 seed Miami Heat. A team looking to win its first ever NBA title and a team looking to win its 4th ever NBA title. A team that on paper is unsurprisingly here despite what fans and media tried to deny. A team that on paper should not even be close to here. You can probably tell by the title of the video what I think will happen in these finals, but I do want to give a full preview of how these teams got here, as well as why I don't think this is going to be close. The Denver Nuggets entered these playoffs as the first seed in the West, led by two-time MVP Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who was now back from injury. They beat the Timberwolves in 5 games because Anthony Edwards has vowed to never get swept in his career. They beat the Suns in 6 games because Devin Booker decided he wasn't going to miss for 2 straight games, and they swept the Lakers. I don't understand why people doubted this team going into the playoffs. They were the clear-cut best team in the West, and they showed it. They executed nearly perfectly in every playoff game to make it here. Jokic was absolutely ridiculous during the Western Conference bracket, and I don't think it's close. He was the best player in these playoffs so far. Jamal Murray was playing at another level, and overall everyone was playing well for the most part. Jokic averaging a near triple-double on 54 field goal percentage, Murray averaging nearly 28 points per game on near 50-40-90. You have MPJ, who saw 41% from 3 on almost 7 attempts per game. KCP was giving them great defense and nearly 12 points per game on near 50-40-90. Bruce Brown was being a productive glue guy for them. Aaron Gordon was producing well and also doing the little things. Really, the only player that hasn't been playing well for them that's gotten real minutes is Jeff Green. So that's only one player out of everybody in your rotation that isn't playing well. And they have dominated these playoffs. They only have 3 losses. All of them are close losses, mind you. 1 loss was in OT. They've done what you expect a number 1 seed to do. You might look at who they faced and act like it's not impressive, but I don't think that's the case. What they've done is incredibly impressive. They took down Minnesota in quick fashion, as they should. They survived Devin Booker going nuclear for a majority of the Suns series, and while the Lakers were a 7 seed, 1, they were in the conference finals for a reason, and 2, that Lakers team beat the number 2 seed in the conference, as well as the defending champs in the second round, both of which in 6 games, and both of which they took a 3-1 lead to get to the conference finals. That Lakers team was a lot better than the record suggested. Really, since the trade deadline, they were a different team. They played at a near 50-win pace post-trade deadline. At the end of the day, you play the teams in front of you. I don't think the Nuggets should be discredited for beating what was in front of them. They are in the finals for a reason. 1, because of the fact that they won the series, but 2, how they won the series, which was in convincing fashion for every series they played in. And this idea that they were like the 2015 Hawks or the 2021 Jazz was always ridiculous to me. This team is special. Then you have the Miami Heat. If the Nuggets are the well-oiled machine that was expected to be here by anyone who had common sense and wasn't pushing some nasty narratives, the Heat are the complete opposite of that. They almost missed the playoffs. They lost the first game of the play-in at home to the Atlanta Hawks and almost lost the second play-in game against the Bulls. But they made the playoffs as the 8th seed, and then Jimmy Butler just started causing problems on purpose. They stunned the basketball world by beating the Bucks in 5 games in round 1. The Bucks were the top overall seed in the playoffs, best record in the league, and the favorites to win it all by most, including myself. And while you might bring up the fact that Giannis got hurt in game 1, I don't think that's an excuse. On paper, that Bucks team shouldn't have needed Giannis to beat the Heat. On top of that, the Bucks' only win in that series was when Giannis was out. The Bucks losing that series was more about a lack of execution and failure to adjust than it was about Giannis missing 2 games in the series. But that shouldn't take away from the Heat either. Jimmy Butler had one of the best playoff series we have ever seen. one of the best individual playoff games we have ever seen to go up 3-1, and the Heat just played well in general. Then they faced the Knicks in round 2, and while Jalen Brunson played well, like incredibly well as RJ Barrett, who I want to give credit to because he stepped up in that series and was actually pretty good in the playoffs overall, minus the first 2 games against the Cavs. The point is, the Knicks' supposed second best player, or projected second best player in that series, was Julius Randle in the playoffs. And despite Brunson playing his best to keep that Heat series close, the Heat just outplayed them. It was very clear who the better team was. And then in the conference finals, we had the weirdest series of all time. The Heat went up 3-0 on the heavily favored Celtics, and then they almost blew a 3-0 lead, but ended up blowing out the Celtics in Game 7 to make it to the finals. And I want to give a huge shout out to Caleb Martin, who in my opinion was the Heat's best player in that series. He was incredible and honestly deserved to win conference finals MVP. The Heat beat 2 teams that were viewed as favorites to win the title to make it to the finals, and I do think this run should be celebrated. It's been incredible, there's no way around it. The Heat stepped up, they played what was in front of them, and they made it here against all odds. But I don't think this final series is going to be close. I think the Nuggets win this series easily. That's not me just being mad the Celtics lost to the Heat in the conference finals, because I think the Nuggets would easily beat the Celtics as well. And the reason starts with the fact that the Heat don't have an answer for Nikola Jokic. Bam Adebayo is a great defensive player. He's the only player that can legitimately switch 1 through 5 in the NBA in my opinion, as well as the best defensive player in the NBA in my opinion, due to his discipline, due to his production, and due to that versatility that's legitimately elite at all positions. But he just isn't built to stop a player like Jokic. His defensive value is more about versatility than it is about stopping players 1v1. He's capable of stopping players 1v1, or at the very least handling his own against dominant players 1v1 like we saw with Giannis in the first round, but Jokic is a different beast, whose playmaking opens up more opportunities and expands his game in a way that makes it hard for someone like Bam to handle. Since Bam became an all-star, Jokic has averaged 20.1 points per game, 10.9 rebounds per game, and 7.8 assists per game over 8 games against the Heat. And that's regular season coasting mode Jokic. I think Jokic is going to put up numbers that are just out of this world in this series. Like numbers we aren't prepared to see until they actually happen. And numbers that will put him in a discussion for best playoff series of all time. But games are about more than one player, and for as great as Jokic is, it's also about the Nuggets in general. Because the other big reason I think the Nuggets are going to wipe the floor with the Heat is the fact that the Heat haven't faced a team like the Nuggets in these playoffs. The Nuggets execute their plays well, they adjust well, they play efficiently, and most importantly, they don't play around, which is the opposite of every Heat opponent in the playoffs so far. The Bucks head coach literally got fired because of a failure to execute well in the half court X's and O's wise and adjust to other teams playing differently. The Knicks have Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson in the front court. The Celtics played around too much all playoffs, which is why the Hawks series went to 6 games instead of 4. The Sixers series went to 7 games when it could have been over in 5. And the Heat are in the finals because of how the Celtics played. And it's why, again, we're talking about the Heat and not the Celtics in the finals. But the thing is, the Heat are just too volatile of a team to believe that they have a chance against the Nuggets. Jimmy Butler will play well. I have no doubt about that. But the Nuggets have way too many advantages. They have the size and athleticism that bothers Bam. They have absolutely shredded zone defenses throughout the regular season and playoffs, which is the signature of the Heat in terms of their defensive game plan. They have the best player in the series, They have the altitude advantage. Not that I am going to discredit the Nuggets winning it all because of that advantage, but it is a real advantage. I've been to Colorado. The altitude difference is very real in terms of the air. And they also have home court advantage as well as being more rested. I think the Heat should be praised for even making it here. They weren't even supposed to make it out of the play-in at times. At least that's how it felt. Let alone make it to the finals. But what's going to end this run for Miami is the opposite of everything the Heat have faced so far in the playoffs. The Nuggets are just too good, and my official prediction is Nuggets in 4. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I'm making videos about basketball all the time, so if that interests you, I really think you enjoy this channel, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways you can help me out. Help support the channel, helps me out in the YouTube algorithm so more people find my videos, so in turn helps the channel grow so I can make more content for you guys in the future. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's going to happen in the series. Who do you think is going to win? How many games do you think it's going to take? I am really confident in my prediction. I'm usually not, but I just look at everything about each of these teams, how they got here, the way that they play, and it's just hard to pick against the Nuggets in this series. Not that I would want to pick against the Nuggets. I really like this Nuggets team a lot, but I just look at all the advantages the Nuggets have, and I truly am confident. Borderline, in fact, I'll flat out guarantee that they're going to win this series rather quickly. I'm that confident. So, love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I know most of you guys are probably going to disagree, but that's just how I feel about this series based off of everything I've watched so far and what I know about how the Nuggets play. So, that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.